Hey guys, Sableye here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're here with another set review, this time for my NPA week 4, week 4 matchup versus Sal. And I say we jump right into things. I'm actually going to skip ahead here a little bit right into the battle. I probably should have done this in the first place here. But as you guys can see, we're going to get straight into things here. We've got Dialga Zacian versus Zacian Kyogre. So I opted to go with the team I just used in the IC. Felt very comfortable with the team. I just felt like it was one of those teams, you know, like regardless of what you go up against, you kind of feel comfortable. You kind of feel comfortable with, and you can probably pull out of any sort of bad matchup. And like Dialga is not the greatest matchup, but I do tech Eerie Impulse on this Life Orb Zapdos strictly for this matchup. So my thought process here in team preview is I can kind of go standard game plan, and the main concern is figuring out what this Thundurus wants to do. Is it going to be physical, or is it going to be special? I do not want to be bringing Grimmsnarl generally into Dialga at all, and let alone when it's beside Zacian. But I have no choice here, because if that's physical Thundurus, I need to be able to set up a Reflect to have any sort of outside shot. I don't think it's going to be physical Thundurus, but I'm not going to take that gamble and lose game 1. Right? I have the safe play of if they go like something like Dialga of just Eerie Impulse Light Screen, keeping Grimmsnarl alive, so it's not going to die in one shot, you know? Because Dialga normally kills it through the Light Screen if the Dialga maxes. So with the Eerie Impulse, Grimmsnarl is not actually going to die, so I have that nice little safe play there. Everything is just very, I don't know, everything's very well thought out here, right? Like, they go Thundurus Dialga, which is really, really nice for me because this is the opportunity for me to either take a guess or kind of expect what they are. In this case, I see the Dialga lead here. It's one of those things where, yeah, I'm pretty confident Dialga is going to be the maxer on this team. And I guarantee, I was 90% confident this Thundurus was going to be supportive. And the only way this backfires is if they taunt my Zapdos. Right? And I have the advantage right now because Joe ran these exact same 6 a while back. I believe it was his VR team back when the last VR tournament was, but that's besides the point. But like, if my opponent thinks I'm just playing Joe's team, I don't actually have Eerie Impulse. I can't slow down this Dialga right now, right? So I have the inherent advantage there, where they're probably just gonna Eerie Impulse me, so I can't get a max. So they're not worried about the max Zapdos anymore, right? So I have that advantage right there. So I figured, you know what, I can just safely click Eerie Impulse right now, and we do thankfully see that it is one confirmed to be support. Confirmed to be Prankster, so I can very easily bring Incineroar into this matchup in game 2. But let's get through game 1 first. So Light Screen's going up right now, which is exactly what I wanted. No real damage from this Dialga onto anything I have in the back, and the Eerie Impulse is going to connect, which is just 100% phenomenal. 100% phenomenal. As you see, Dialga does go for that big Steel Spike, but still does so much to Grimmsnarl. I was actually shocked that it still did over half, to be honest. Like, I figured it would be just under half, right? Because generally you still kill through Light Screen, but I didn't know it killed that easily through Light Screen, you know? Like, if I don't get Eerie Impulse off, that's probably still almost killing 2 Grimmsnarls. But anyways, besides the point, at this point, I'm very content. All I have to do is chip this Thundurus down and basically get it off the field for my Kyogre and my Zacian to win this endgame. I've got a Reflect up, I've got a Light Screen up, I'm set for 8 turns. I've just got to do damage now and get rid of their Dynamax. And like let it kind of stall out their Dynamax, because Sacred Sword kills Dialga in one shot, especially the faster Life Orb variants. Don't know the speed tier on this one yet, but we do see the Life Orb already. So they wasted 2 max turns killing a Grimmsnarl. Absolutely phenomenal. Exactly what I wanted out of that Grimmsnarl right there. Not a great spot because they are boosting this Thundurus, right? So killing this Thundurus right now is very terrifying. I still feel comfortable in this position, and now I bring in Kyogre kind of as a Dynamax. Well, I'm going to after we exchange Thunderbolts here. Kyogre is going to come in, right? Because I don't really want to bring in Zacian. I debated a little bit, but I do think Kyogre is the better play, because if I let Zacian get paralyzed, it's not good, right? What I want in the end game here, it's still game 1. It's still an information game. So worst case scenario, hey, I lose this game, but if I can figure out maybe who Zacian is faster, that's helpful in this game too, right? We've already seen support Thundy, meaning I can actually pivot around this very, very well with Incineroar. So I'm not really worried about if I lose game 1 here, you know? I'm comfortable into game 2 and to game 3 for that matter. Like, I'm comfortable that I can win this set in 3 even if I lose this game. So I go Kyogre here. It's a bit just to try and get as much info as I can from this Thundurus here. Maybe Maybe, like I said, the Zacian speed tiers in the end game if it can come down to that, if I can get it to that spot. And Kyogre's not a terrible spot anyways, right? Because it's giving them something to scare them, right? They have to worry about this Kyogre at some point, right? They can't just leave Kyogre here and let Kyogre take out Thundurus, because it's going to Dynamax potentially, still kill the Zacian with a one-shot with the Dynamax. I don't know what their other mon is, but whatever it is, if it's Gastrodon, I'm a little concerned. But I think with Zapdos still being able to max at this point, I'm alright if I see the Zapdos. And I just get the damage off here. I believe I went Water Spout, which I think is the correct play. Just because I'm taking virtually nothing from a -2 Dialga through Light Screen, and Thundurus isn't going to do a whole lot. Actually, Ice Beam, which I think is okay. Not the best play in the world, but I do get a freeze, which worked out amazingly for me here, because now I no longer have to worry about a Thunder Wave into Zacian. I no longer have to worry about an Eerie Impulse into Kyogre, and everything basically becomes safe. So what I want to do here is I believe I just took down to Dialga and Water Spouted, because there's nothing they can do about that right now. Right? Dialga's dead here. Thundurus does get the full freeze, and it was okay for me to gamble there. Okay, so if I don't get the freeze, they paralyze Zacian. Dialga does like 30-40% because Light Screen and -2. I kill the Dialga, and I'm still in an okay position. Having the slower Zacian in the end game would be rough, but I still don't hate that position. You know? I still have the Zapdos. It still would have been an okay position without that freeze. But I think with the freeze, the game just ended as long as it stays frozen. Like, there's no way they can actually pivot this back anymore as long as this Thundurus is frozen. I do decide to take a gamble here and max my Kyogre. Right now, I figured, you know what, it's Zacian in the endgame. Let's max this Kyogre and get rid of this Incineroar right now. And just get a piece off the field. Make this a 2v1, a 2v2 or a 3v2, depending on what this Thundurus decides to do here, if it can even move. Get Zapdos in eventually and keep the Zacian healthy, right? This covers the fake out into the Kyogre slot, which very well could happen. It is a risk, obviously, because there is that 25% chance of me being fully paralyzed, but getting paralyzed on the turn prior, I figured this was a fairly safe option. Obviously, it's a bit of a gambler's fallacy, where, you know, it just happened last turn, it can't possibly happen again, right? But it's still a 25% chance. Just a Behemoth Blade. I did forget about the Steel Spike boost here, I'm going to be honest. Now, granted, I don't know if Sacred Sword kills from that range, because I'm a neutral attack Zacian. Right? So they actually correctly get the Parting Shot up there, which is very good plan. Did I kill Fundy? No, I definitely hit the instant slot here. I'm pretty confident. I should have hit the instant slot. If I didn't, it's on me. But no, at this point, it's one of those things I just keep going into the slot that can't protect. The Thundurus, like I said, doesn't scare me. Obviously, the moment they're not frozen and they can start getting, you know, Eerie Impulses off and such stuff like that. At one, I probably don't max Kyogre here because it's not frozen, you know? I don't know, I just feel like I'm still okay without that freeze. Obviously, the game is nowhere close to as it is now, right? Like, that freeze is basically just, yeah, this game's over, right? It's one of those kind of scenarios. At this point, I think I spread the damage. I think I Geyser. I don't even remember what I did, to be perfectly honest. That's fine. Yeah, that's probably, I think, the correct play. Sacred Sword will pick up Thundurus here if they want to intimidate Zacian. As you see right there, we're going to get the instant catch here with the Sacred Sword. Of course, not going to do a whole lot since I'm now -2. Well, -1 because I get the inherent boost. But I'm now -1, so probably going to do just under 50. But the more important thing here is they're not protecting this Zacian, which is what I was expecting from them, right? To try and get some sort of pivot out of this. But their Zacian's just going to click Behemoth Blade here. Going to go out, going to connect into, I believe, what was my Zacian here. But with Reflect Up, nothing too crazy. And the more important part about this turn, like I said, game 1, information game, my Zacian was faster right there. Now, I don't know if that's guaranteed, but we do know that at the worst case scenario, it's a speed tie. So I can play to that endgame consistently, right? I can play to an endgame of having my Zacian be faster now, which is massive going into games 2 and game 3, because it allows me to say, okay, I can actually take a little bit of chip as long as I do a little bit of chip to their Zacian too, because then the end game is if I'm just faster and they're chipped and I'm chipped, I'll still win, right? Whereas generally you can't really afford to be chipped if you're the slower Zacian. You kind of have to be the faster Zacian in that case. But the forfeit comes out there, and that at that point with a frozen Thundurus and a half health instant, you're not getting through Kyogre, Zacian, Zapdos. It's just never gonna happen. So I respect the forfeit, maybe hiding as much information as they can. But like I said, going into game 2, this is a very, I don't want to say easy adjustment for me to not bring Grim, but I didn't even want to bring it in game 1, so it's not going to show up here. We're obviously going to bench the bring the Incineroar and bench the Grimmsnarl. The one thing I was, and I'm still worried about, is this Gastrodon. I am very surprised we're not seeing it. You know, but this is why I'm trying to preserve Zapdos to the best of my ability. That's why I preserved it in that game 1, right? Like, I could have just sat in there with Zapdos, but I couldn't risk it since it was one of my best ways of dealing with the Gastrodon in the endgame, right? That's why I kind of preserved it in game 1. So I still think I can be okay with Zapdos and Zacian. Maybe Airstream, Play Rough, just take this thing out, right? Airstream, Ice Beam. There's a lot of combinations I have that can go into Gastrodon for some massive damage, right? And we're chilling. So once again, like I said, it's basically now a question of how do I want to lead, right? Because I could definitely lead Ogre here, because I could lead Ogre. They're not really threatening me. They don't have an immediate threat. Their immediate threat is Rillaboom, and if they're bringing Rillaboom, then they have to deal with Zapdos that's on the field, and they're not going to bring Rillaboom after I brought Zapdos in game 1. So even if they do, like I said, I have it covered for, and at this point, it's just a matter of making safe switches and deciding what I want to do. So we're chilling. Like I said, AV Kyogre just doesn't die. Thunderous Dialga, we do manage to see the exact same lead. And what's good about this is I forced their hand down, right? I'm either having a Kyogre on the field doing massive damage and taking no damage. Keep in mind, I'm taking no damage, right? Because I'm Assault Vest. Life Orb Dialga can't really touch me. Okay, maybe I take 50% max. No way I take that. I probably take like 40, closer to 40-ish from like a max Wormwind if they have it into my Kyogre, but it's not going to do all that much damage, right? So here I can safely go for an Eerie Impulse again, basically saying, do you have Taunt, yes or no? And I just go for damage, right? I literally just click Water Spout, and if you try to make a passive move or try to switch something in, I'm taking all kinds of damage there. And I was actually surprised that they maxed Dialga here, again. Like, it didn't work for them in game 1, right? Like, I was able to stall them out and get to the end game where I'd have Zacian, and Zacian would just kill the Dialga in one shot, and any boosts they got were just gone, right? So I'm surprised they went with it again, especially with the Eerie Impulse threat. Of course, they do reveal Taunt here, which is the correct play, and I'm okay with that, but this is why I love AV Kyogre so much, and you guys are going to see it right now. Dialga goes for Max Quake, as I was expecting, right? They just want to keep their Thunderous alive to the best of the ability right now, and this is why I love AV Kyogre, because that is base 150 special attack, Life Orb Dialga, and it just did like 25%, if that, to me, which is absolutely ridiculous. I get a free Water Spout, obviously not going to do crazy amounts of damage, but at this point, it's one of those things where I say, okay, keep targeting my Kyogre. Kyogre is nowhere near dying right now. All I need to do is get Thunderous off the field while you sit here and try to deal with my Kyogre. I did debate switching out, but there was really no reason for me to. The moment I kill Thunderous, Zacian, being the faster Zacian, just effectively wins this game. Right? So I was just content to sit here. They're going to continue bullying my Kyogre because they have no choice. Right? They have no choice to bully my Kyogre, and seeing this turn right here, where they doubled my Kyogre, was basically my moment in the game where I said, there is no way Gastrodon is in the back. At this point, I thought to myself, they don't bully Kyogre this hard if they have Gastrodon. Like, there's just no world in which they do that. So Thunderous is going to get another special defense boost, which is what it is. We're going to get Zapdos out here with, I believe, a Thunderbolt now. And another, after the Ice Beam, right? But Ice Beam doesn't pick up. Thunderbolt actually does. Thunderbolt already went off, right? I'm just crazy. Yeah, I'm just crazy. Thunderbolt went off first, then Ice Beam picks up. I thought it was the other way around. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just tired. But either way, we do get that Thundy down there, and we do see the Zacian come in. So like I said, this now confirms it. If you have Gastro, you bring it in here. You don't risk your Zacian in front of this, right? And now I'm super content. I have a Kyogre I don't really care about anymore, so I can freely launch attacks, and if they don't target me, well, I'm getting damage. I have an instant in the back to help deal with Zacian at this point, and I'm more than content to just win this game with the back, I believe. Right? It's one of those things where, hey, I try to get some damage up. Did I switch into instant? I feel like that's a good switch in anyways, but I don't think I did. Right? Like, switching into instant is safe, but I don't need to do it. Right? It's not one of the things I need to do, and here's where I said the game plan works. Because remember back in game 1 I said if I have the faster Zacian, all I need to do is chip their Zacian, this is exactly what I'm going for here. I decided to say, okay, instant Zacian in the back are more than enough for me to win this game right now, as long as I chip the Zacian into one-shot range here, right? And that is super, super okay with me, right? So basically, I'm doubling the Kyogre here because there's no world in which they pick up 2 knockouts. Zacian's gonna play rough, that's fine. It connects, they kill Kyogre. Congrats, you got the knockout. But Dialga's not killing me. Max Zapdos doesn't die, well, my Max Zapdos doesn't die to Dialga, and I'm faster than the Dialga anyways. So I'm guaranteed I get the big Max Lightning up right there, and that is more than enough to put it in range of even a neutral Zacian Behemoth Blade, and that's really realistically all I needed to do at this spot. And we are going to see the Hailstorm here and just do crazy amounts of damage, because Dialga, like, Dialga does damage, guys. Don't get me wrong, look how much damage that is. Like, that's a lot of damage. Like, Dialga's a really good Pokemon. Like, I don't want to say an off-meta pick because I feel like it's kind of meta. But, like, at the same time, I feel like it's one of those things that, like, if you don't have a game plan for it, especially with, like, a Kyogre Zacian team, it's going to steamroll you. But thankfully, I did have a game plan here. Like I said, the Eerie Impulse in Game 1 just kind of forced their hand a little bit, right? I'm still surprised they maxed it again. Like, even after the taunt, it wasn't worth it. Like, I'm surprised they didn't kill Zapdos sooner. But anyway, Zapdos is on the field right now. And this is one of those moments where, hey, their Dynamax is over. And it's basically a question of where I think Incineroar is coming on the field. I'm pretty confident Incineroar comes in for Zacian here. It's just what I expect to happen. Right? Like, Incin comes in for Zacian. Dialga lives, and then Dialga can get potentially Earth Power off into my Zacian. Start chipping me down quite a bit, right? Just start getting damage, right? Like, the other way they're not getting damage, I think they take a huge risk here, personally. They actually do end up going instant for the Dialga slot. But I want Dialga dead, right? This Dialga is the mon that needs to go. I have an Incineroar in the back. I don't really care about Zacian, which is the wrong terminology, but it's not as important of a threat, right? Like, Dialga is the more threatening one. So we're going to get a Sacred Sword here at neutral. It's going to be good damage into Incineroar as well. And this one, to me, I'm not a lucky guy. And if you guys saw my IC stream, you know I'm not a lucky guy. But anyways, I'm not a lucky guy, so the likelihood of me outpacing their Zacian and winning 2 speed types twice just is non-existent, right? Like, it's existent. It very well could have been the case, but at this point, it's one of those things where you have to probably make it faster. I'm also kind of an awkward speed tier, so I don't think, like, I think it would be super rare to be the same speed tier as them, right? So, and anyways, we also win the Hail Tip speed tie. That's 3 in a row now. To me, I'm faster, right? I'm playing the rest of this game as if I'm faster. No need to call anything a speed tie now, and we're just done. Instant comes on the field, and this is absolutely phenomenal here. So this is still kind of a toss-up, right? Because it comes down to who's the faster Instant, right? So if I'm the faster Instant, I simply can fake out. I could actually fake out the Instant, right? But I think I have to play it slow and just Sacred Sword the Instant again. I have no choice here at this point. I think this should be we trade fake outs. They fake out Zacian, and I fake out Zacian, and nothing more comes of the turn. But I think they actually ended up switching into Dialga because they wanted to cycle Intimidates, which is what I presume they're going for here. Right? They say, yeah, Dialga's going to live this now at this point, so there's really no reason. I can come in, I can cycle the Intimidate, get some pressure on for the following turn, and just protect my Zacian here, which is a great play on their end. Especially if I'm going after Zacian. Right? If I go after and try to kill Zacian there, well then, that's a problem for me, right? But we do get that big Sacred Sword into Dialga. I think they either underestimated my Zacian or overestimated the bulk on their Dialga there, because I don't think they expected to die on that switcher. Because they, like, I don't know. It's one of those things where they need to cycle Intimidates, but they also need to keep Dialga. So, like, I don't know if they're going full force. Like, that's such a tough call at that point. Like, I just felt like it was in a good position. I have a free Sacred Sword into that slot, which is why I went for it. There's no reason for me to risk going into the neutral Zacian that's already slower and lower HP than me, right? I'm already guaranteed to live whatever Zacian would have gone for at that point. And now here it's simply, I protect so I can't get faked out and Behemoth Bladed. And I take out the Zacian with a Flare Blitz because there's no way I die here. The only way this backfires is if they fake out and Sacred Sword the Incineroar. But if they go for that, Zacian's at neutral, they're not going to be able to kill Instant. And then from there, well then Zacian's just faster next turn and puts on crazy amounts of pressure. And I just kill the Instant that turn. Right, so let's say they would have faked out Instant there, let's just say. They fake out Instant, Next turn, both pieces are still on the field from both ends. I have a low HP instant. So what I do there is I just Sacred Sword the Incineroar, and because my Zacian is faster, whichever piece they take out is a losing piece for them to take out there. I would have killed instant, Zacian would have taken probably, I would have imagined they killed the instant. And then it comes down to my Zacian being faster, and my Zacian is just faster and isn't in range of dying anyways. So at that point the game was over, even if they did double the instant there, so that was a safe protect from Zacian. Is basically what I'm trying to say. And once we get to this spot, the game is over. Once we get to that spot, the game is over. So we are going to be able to beat Sal there, which was just a really, I don't know, it felt like a really clean game on my end. It just felt really, really clean. Like, I don't know if I had the matchup like prepared like the back of my hand. It wasn't something I was expecting from them, to be completely honest. But like, I don't know, I just felt so comfortable in that matchup, and I don't know why. But I think it was well played by Sal as well. Definitely a great game. Had a ton of fun with that set. So with that, guys, I think we're going to call this set analysis a day. I'm going to stop rambling now. If you guys do enjoy this kind of content, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and I do appreciate it. And with that, I am going to get out of here. I'm going to stop rambling, and I will catch you guys in a future video.